We start with Lambda function. Okay, AWS Lambda is a serverless compute service that lets you run code without provisioning or managing servers. It's quite convenient if you want to run your pipeline and do not care about how to deploy it. Yeah. Let's go through the process together. I'm going to show you how to do that. First, we're going to create Lambda function, add DLT pipeline script, configure the function, create a layer, and test it. I prepared a GitHub pipeline. So it's our regular GitHub example, GitHub issues. I just copy-pasted it under the function definition with name Lambda handler. Just copy it and go to AWS service. Go to Lambda, create function. Let's set some function name, workshop function. Pick the runtime. In our case, it's going to be Python 3.12. Pick architecture ARM64. In my case, because I have ARM64 architecture, and create the function. It takes a little time, and let's put our pipeline code right here in editor. Let's just copy paste. We can see from previous example that all Lambda functions should have Lambda handler name. You can change it actually, but in our case we won't change it. So let's keep it like this. By default, Lambda function will try to find Lambda handler name. Just copy paste it here and save the changes, pressing deploy. I would try to test it, but I know that first, before you run the pipeline, you need to install DLT package and DuckDB package, because otherwise AWS will try to run it in the empty environment with a Python. That's it. And now it's a little bit tricky to add these packages here. For Lambda functions, they use layers. You can add a layer, but first we need to create one. Let's try to create a layer. Go to Lambda, pick layers, create layer, set a name, workshop layer, upload a zip file, yeah, and pick configuration. Upload a zip file. That's interesting step we need to go through right now together. And let's do that. I'm gonna follow the instruction I prepared. So we edit, create a layer with dependencies. I have, if you try to run this pipeline without packages, you will get an error message like no module named was found. Yeah. And unfortunately, I have MacBook. No, unfortunately, yeah, but AWS doesn't work with MacBook environment. If I installing DLT and DuckDB on my MacBook laptop, it would be slightly different than if I install it to Linux. That's actually DLT works for if I install it on Mac and trying to run it on Linux, it will work. But the DuckDB really sensitive to architecture. It means I have to imitate that I have Linux with Docker. So first we pull the image with Linux with architecture ARM64. You can pick any other. Then you create a container. Actually, already created one. Let's create another one. I named it Lambda Linux ARM64 and set the image and Linux ARM64 and configuration like Python 3.12. Let's run it with this IT key we can go into this container interactively and do stuff. For example, we can install inside of this container. We can create folders, for example, or install packages in this folder. The same way we install DuckDB in the same Python folder. And let's see if we get it. Yeah, we can see DLT and DuckDB were installed as some extra dependencies. Let's exit. Now we have to copy these generated files with installed packages to my local machine to the Python folder. It's important that your folder names Python, because Lambda function will understand that in this folder you keep all packages, installed packages. So the Python name is very important. Let's copy it. It's here. We can say it. Okay, in temp file, in temp folder. What is next? Let's zip it, because it's a requirement from Lambda function, and call it Lambda layer rm64 zip. Okay, we can see that our zip file was created. Let's move it to our Lambda function as a layer. Picking architecture, runtime, it should be the same as your configuration of your Lambda function. Create it. Okay, it takes a while. That's it. And let's add this layer. The layer was successfully created. Let's add it to our Lambda function. Add a layer. We see the runtime, architecture, and it should be the same as there. So now we can try and test it. So installed on packages. Let's create a test event. It will send event JSON. We do not care what kind of JSON it's going to be. Let's send this one, because we actually do not work with event. As you can see here, event and context, we do not touch them. So it doesn't mean what kind of event it will be. Let's save and test. Oh no, it's time out. In 3 seconds. How to fix it? Let's go to configuration, set timeout. I don't know, like 5 minutes. And as we are here, let's increase the memory to 500 and save. Let's try to test the pipeline again. It will take a while. Okay. Oh, no, yeah, it's failed again. Why? As we can see that the home directory actually has strict access, read-only. And DLT usually creates a lot of metadata and intermediary files in a home directory. But we can change the settings. Go to configurations, environment variables, edit, add environment variable, and change the data directory with Lambda function and change it to temporary folder, because it's the only folder we can write into on AWS and Lambda function. And also we should change the DuckDB credentials, because it's also will try to create a dump in outside of temp folder, and let's set it in explicitly that we want to save our dumps in temp folder. Save it. Let's go to code and try to test it again. Okay, it's not failing. That's nice. And yeah, response and status success. That's what we return in case the function worked correctly. So that's it about Lambda function.